That was the dinner from
Yeah,
to indicate that it was 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Sorry again. I need some salad. Got bunnies, with greens. We shared some greens.
You and the black rabbit. You should get you a hat to chase the rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
Those are 60s to get them.
And then you can pull it out of her purse.
Oh, I didn't want to know that.
Seeing as it's 6:01 by my clock, I am going to call this public hearing to order on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. Please bear with me as I have probably the majority of this public hearing may be taken up by me laying down the rules and making a statement at the beginning about how we proceed with our public hearings. I'll explain that a little more as we go. Good evening and welcome to this public hearing. I would like to acknowledge that the town of Gibsons is in the traditional territories of the Skohomish Nation. This public hearing is being held to consider official community plan and zoning amendment bylaws for Lot 14 Venture Way. I will introduce the council members present this evening. Councillor David Kroll, Councillor Anne-Marie DeAndrade, Councillors Stafford Lumley and Christy Thompson are joining us on Zoom. And we also have our student representative with us today who provides us wise counsel from the youth perspective, but doesn't get to vote, but he does provide us with some input. I am Mayor Silas White, and I'm the chair of this evening's proceedings. A public hearing is a statutory requirement under the Local Government Act. All persons present who believe their interests are affected by the proposed bylaw amendments shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the matters contained in those proposed bylaws. Under the Local Government Act, the chair of a public hearing is entitled to make procedural rules for the conduct of the public hearing. The public hearing can be accessed both electronically via Zoom and in person. For this public hearing, we will use the following protocol. If you are attending the public hearing in person, please make sure you have requested to speak with our administrative assistant, Lisa Evanson. Thanks, Lisa. And your name will then be added to a speaker's list. Persons wishing to speak online during this public hearing are invited to use the raise hand feature by clicking on the hand icon found at the bottom of your screen, or if you're joining us by phone, pressing *9 on the phone. The meeting administrator will then add you to the speakers list, and you will be able to unmute and turn on your video when it is your time to speak. Once your name has been called to speak, you'll be prompted with an invitation to become a panelist. Please accept the invite to get your opportunity to speak. Please identify yourself, whether you're in person or online, by clearly stating your name and residential address before beginning to address council. Speakers are allowed up to 3 minutes to make their presentation and may not transfer all or part of their allotted time to another speaker. Members of council are present to hear your submissions and not to answer questions or debate the merits of the bylaws under consideration. We need to do that at a later period when we consider the third reading of the bylaw. Council members may ask for clarification from members of the public after their submissions, and I would ask them to do that through me as well. Persons wishing to speak a second time with new information or perspectives may do so only after all other persons wishing to speak have been provided the opportunity to speak for a first time. Persons speaking a second time will be limited to 2 minutes. Persons wishing to speak a third time with new information or perspectives may do so only after all of the persons wishing to speak have been provided the opportunity to speak for a first or second time. Persons speaking a third time will be limited to 1 minute. Today's proceedings will continue until everyone who wishes to speak has had an opportunity. If necessary, we will adjourn the hearing this evening and set a time and date to reconvene. It is important to note that council members have not made up our minds on this issue. A public hearing is not a referendum or vote of those who show up, but rather for council to consider concerns from the public as part of our overall deliberations. Focusing on the topic, which is the land use change, including proposed plans for the new land use, will definitely help your case, and I may need to intervene to ensure that we stay on the topic under consideration, though I hope I don't need to. If you already have made a written submission, we have read it. It is on the public record, and council will consider written and spoken submissions equally. So I encourage you not to read it out if we already have it in writing. I will also clarify that the purpose of this meeting is to only hear from members of the public one by one. Council will further discuss what we've heard and other aspects of this development proposal and its overall impact on our community at a subsequent council meeting to consider third reading of this bylaw. And now we'll go to the introduction and background of this bylaw. Katie Thomas, one of our planners, will now introduce the proposed official community plan and zoning amendment bylaws for Lot 14 Venture Way.
Thank you, Mayor. The property is currently vacant and has 2 OCP land use designations, with Service Commercial Business Centre covering the north portion of the site and mixed-use commercial to the south. The property also has split zoning, with light industrial, or I1, covering the northwest corner, while the remainder of the site is zoned single-family and 2-family residential, Zone 3, R3. The purpose of the OCP Amendment Bylaw number 98534 is to remove the mixed-use commercial land use designation and expand the Service Commercial Business Centre designation to the whole site, and to adjust the form and character development permit areas to correspond with the land use change. The purpose of the Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1065-75 is to remove the R3 zone from the site and expand the light industrial zone across the entire site. At the council meeting on December 5th, 2023, the bylaws were both given first and second reading, and a resolution was made to hold a public hearing today. A notice of public hearing was advertised in the Coast Reporter on January the 12th and 19th, 2024. Thank you.
I will now ask the Corporate Officer, Rebecca Anderson, to note and present any written submissions received to date regarding the OCP and zoning amendment bylaws.
Thank you, Mayor White. Through you. The public hearing agenda published on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024 included 4 submissions from 4 individuals. 3 were in support of the proposal and 1 was in opposition. Between the time the agenda was published and the statutory deadline for written submissions, no additional submissions were received. As noted, individuals may choose to forward written submissions via email to clerk@gibsons.ca up to the close of the hearing. Those submissions will be collated at adjournment and circulated to council for consideration.
Thank you. We will now seek further public input. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed bylaws? We could go online.
So we have Colleen O'Toole.
Colleen O'Toole.
She's just popping over now.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. My name is Colleen O'Toole. I live and work at 1000 Venture Way, and my home looks directly on out to the proposed development area. I think it's really important to attract and retain clean, light industrial and commercial uses, shops and offices in order to provide jobs and services for residents, and of course, improve our town's tax base. I've reviewed the posted information, and I did read the Coast Reporter article that talked about the light industrial area could include businesses such as a gym, climbing walls, warehouses, retail space, commercial kitchens, and other things. And most of those things sound absolutely great. But my main concern is that there may be other uses that may end up in the spaces that are not compatible with the neighboring residential uses or live work spaces. I think it's really important that council consider, as you're considering these OCP and zoning amendments, that the light industrial uses that are proposed for this land continue to be compatible with neighboring residential uses. I'm only opposed to this application right now, as the application doesn't clearly address how the development will contribute or not to the ongoing water usage concerns in the town, or necessarily how noise management, privacy, or light pollution impacts to the neighboring residential areas will be mitigated.
Thank you. Are there other speakers online?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for a second time. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed bylaws? Here in person or online? I see no for that second time. And for a third and final time, is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed bylaws? Has anyone shown up online? No. Okay. So please note that once a public hearing regarding a bylaw is adjourned, council may not continue to receive further information or feedback from members of the public regarding that bylaw. Municipalities are legally required to ensure transparency, procedural fairness, and due process when considering public input regarding a bylaw. The legal requirement arises from common law established by court cases and includes requiring that all public feedback received be publicized as part of the open session, this public hearing, and is made available to everyone in attendance. This is to ensure transparency of everything that is considered by members of council when giving the bylaw further readings. For this reason, council and staff accept public input up until the adjournment of the public hearing, and nothing is accepted afterwards. No, maybe later, maybe in the third reading, I think, yeah. We just need to do the public hearing right now, but there will be opportunities for questions for council when we get to that in the third reading. There being no further input, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing. Moved by Councillor Kroll, seconded by Councillor DeAndrade. And thank you everyone for your attendance. And now we have to wait for,
Did you bring the sweater board?
yeah.